time for this live program every Saturday from 4 p.m. all the way to 7 p.m. This is a place, of course, you get the best sports cuisine, the highlights, the latest updates, gossip, banter that happened, of course, in this week, this particular weekend, and also what we expect the following week and, of course, the following month. My name is Tony Kwalanda. Many thanks indeed for making time. You know, of course, we always also interact on all our social media platforms, on X at TV47 News, on Facebook, TV47 Kenya, on YouTube, TV47 Kenya. This particular program airs 24/7 on our TV47.digital platform, and also on our YouTube. We are also live continuously 24/7. Asante sana. You know our SMS line 22047. You know our number that you can call us in live, and also you know our WhatsApp number. They're there for you at your disposal, of course, to enjoy and interact with us. Now, welcome. Of course, I've lined up a wonderful buffet for you this particular afternoon that includes different sports. We have kabaddi, we have football, we have all that, of course, entails matters about football, the major sports that we have. Now, just before we get into our first segment, we would like, of course, for you to participate on this great show. We have our question of the day, and where we want you to engage in this particular question of the day. And we're asking you a very simple question. You can talk to us, you can call us in live, you can text us, you can tweet, you can X us. We're asking you, how can we tackle hooliganism in Kenyan football? How can we tackle hooliganism in Kenyan football? Again, we ask you, want to engage with us, how can we tackle hooliganism in Kenyan football? Talk to us. The numbers and, of course, all those social media platforms are there for you to engage with us. You can also call us in. This, of course, is a place, this is your show. We just be facilitating. Haya, wacha tuingie in matters. Now, most of you know, currently, we have an agency in Kenya that is ensuring that Kenya continues to participate in both local, regional, and international events. This particular agency is very important to any athlete, whether in football, in rugby, in tennis, in all these particular sports. This agency, if this agency was not executing its mandate in Kenya, most of the athletes, most of the teams will not be participating in international events and regional events. I'm talking about the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, EDAC. Now, that is the agency that is mandated with responsibilities to ensure that our athletes are well prepared in and out of competition, and that, of course, Kenya continues to shine in international events. And that's why this particular afternoon, I'm honored to have the head of legal services at the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, EDAC, that is Bildad Rogoncho. I hope I've said it correctly, Bildad. Asante sana. Karibu sana. We also have the Senior Compliance Officer at the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, EDAC, that is Dennis Kaitanyi. Karibu sana. Thank you, gentlemen, for making time. I know EDAC respects the 2/3 gender rule, but of course these are the two that have been sent to represent us, because I know their CEO and the entire team, they have that gender rule represented, but wametumwa na EDAC wakuje tuongele several matters. Let's just get into it. I will start with Bildad. We've seen in the recent past, in fact, just this last week, where I think it's an ongoing investigation, and I think a national of an Indian origin, if I'm not wrong, who was arrested for indulging in some in darkness sort of activities that are related to the work that you do. Any updates that you have from that particular case or incident of this particular foreigner who was caught with performance enhancing drugs, and what we know about the extent of exactly what he had done so far, and where we are, and what we intend, of course, to achieve with that particular arrest.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Tony, for having us. In fact, I was wondering the other day why we've not had the opportunity to come and sit here with you, but thank you for having us today.
Karibu.
Yes, we were successful in arresting this gentleman from India. As you know, many athletes from all over the world normally come and do their training in our high altitude areas in A10, Kaptagat and all that. So basically, as an agency, we have noted, and through the investigations that we have been able to conduct, that some of the doping cases that we have in the country are propelled by agents and external athletes who come to train in this country. We received intelligence regarding that particular individual.
Yes.
And one of the things that we are doing as an agency is collaborating with other stakeholders, including the Directorate of Criminal Investigations and also Pharmacy and Poisons Board. So we were able to come together and raid that particular house. And what we found there was we could not actually believe that such an individual would still be within or in the midst of our athletes. Basically, where we are at the moment is that he has been arrested. He has been presented before court. He has posted cash bail. So the matter will take off as it's supposed to. We will be pursuing not only him, but any of the leads that he is going to give us over time. Yes. My colleague actually participated in that particular raid, was able to organize that particular raid. So I think he can give us maybe some more information.
Yeah, Kaitani, please share with us, of course, the in-depth now that the raid, what did you, how did you start? Okay, you can't reveal, of course, your secrets of how you do that, but exactly what was found there, and how bad or how dangerous is it? Because I'm looking at a situation whereby I understand that the Athletics Integrity Unit has put Kenya on watch list A, and that's not good for our athletes. Yeah. Yes, Kaitani.
Thank you, Tony. I'll also reiterate what my colleague has said. Thank you for having us. So we are glad to be here today. So on this particular case, I would like actually to say that, it is something that we work with the public as well, in terms of receiving intelligence and other than the other stakeholders that we work with. And for this particular case, I will definitely not reveal how we were able to come across this information. But I would urge the members of the public to continue speaking with us so that we can also come up with, target more of these kinds of individuals. So when we conducted that activity, we were very surprised at the amount of medication that we found within this person's premise. Okay. I would call it similar. It was, I think they only lacked a license to operate a pharmacy in that particular.
Fully fledged.
Yes, a fully fledged pharmacy. So they were a range of medicaments ranging from what is prohibited to even what is not prohibited. And from our point of view, and from the point of view of any anti-doping organization, this is a very dangerous criminal because he is unregulated. He is conducting, he has also been entrusted by other athletes. So he is conducting illegal activities in terms of, injecting other athletes and providing these prohibited substances to athletes. So it was surprising to us, and we are still continuing with the investigation. Yes. And it is amongst the initial steps into fighting the whole menace as a country. So as my colleague had said, in terms of he had posted bail, but we are looking into now seeing how exactly did this medication enter into the country. Correct. I can reveal as well is majority of that medication which were found on him are not registered in the country. So he had to find a way to bring them in illegally. They are not even registered with the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. So it's an ongoing investigation, and we are hoping to actually, bring the best out of it.
Yeah, that's, I know there's a lot that really, that's a story, of course, we have really to follow up, and I'm glad, of course, ADAC was already on that, and I'm glad also you can reveal this kind of things. Bill, that I'm looking at a situation whereby now, this is someone now who is enabling this particular vice to happen with performance enhancement drugs in the country. How is this fight so far? Are we winning it? Are we losing it? And in the backdrop that I think last year or the year before, there was an issue with funding from the government. Has that been streamlined? Because I'm thinking maybe that particular patch whereby the agency was not having enough funds really to execute its mandate is when maybe there was a lot of shenanigans happening. And then now that you have funding, I'm guessing you have funding, you can reveal it, it's appropriate right now. How is that so far? Because being on the A list, si poa. Definitely, Tony. I think we've had our own challenges as an anti-doping, a national anti-doping organization. But in terms of executing our mandate, I think we are on the right track. One of the things that you should note is that for you to win the war against doping, the first thing that you should have is positive cases. If you don't have positive cases as a country, then most probably you're losing the war. You know, when I started working with the anti-doping agency, I always assumed that these performance-enhancing substances are only found in Europe and in the Americas. I was actually surprised to find that these substances are here locally with us, and athletes are actually using those substances. And one of the things that these athletes, and the reason why they normally use these substances, you'll find, is because of the talent that we have in the country. You know, for you to emerge to reach the levels of Eliud Kipchoge, can you imagine the tens of thousands of athletes that you have to beat in this country? So I think some of them then opt for this shortcut. But the good thing is that with ADAC in place, you will not go very far. In terms of the funding, we had a challenge with exchequer funding. And of course, I know that the government is going through, some financial crunch and all that. We appreciate where the government is. But 2 years ago, the then Cabinet Secretary for Sport, Honorable Bob Namwamba, together with His Excellency President and the President of World Athletics met, had a discussion, and the government was able to commit $5 million per year for 5 years. So we've already implemented the program for about 2 years now. Now, that $5 million per year is supposed to cater for anti-doping programs in athletics. So we used to collect a total of 1,000 samples in a year, both athletics and other sports disciplines. But right now, we are doing between 4,500 and 5,000 tests per year, which is a good thing. So in terms of athletics, we are on the right track. We still have a bit of challenges when it comes to the other sports disciplines, especially football, rugby, and all that. But that does not mean that we are penniless and we are unable to do anything. We are still testing, and remember, our testing nowadays, Tony, is not just random testing. It is intelligence-based testing that we are conducting. So we are on the right track. Well done on that. And talking about compliance, Kaitani, I'm looking at the very common drugs that most of our athletes get tempted to use to hasten their ability to be on top. And in Kenya, I'm looking at the statistics, of course, that you've shared on your website. These are things like EPO. And the common one is this one, Nandro something. Let me just read it. In ngumu sana utanisamea. It's a difficult name. It's Nandrolone. That's a common, the Nandrolone is a common one that Kenyan athletes use. And then EPO is one that is commonly used. Yeah. And I'm looking, of course, at a recent case, an athlete by the name Zakai. I think he's a 5,000 meters athlete who now, I think either he did not get, he doesn't want to give samples. I know athletes normally they want to be tested, but they run away. There's a terminology for that. Imetoka tu kidogo. Sisi watu wa golf, is it terminology that's sumbua kidogo. Yes. But he's not offering his sample for testing. Yes. And it looks like that sometimes these athletes take some medication which ends up being a banned substance. How is that? And how do you educate athletes on what not to use, what to wear, what to... How is that? And who specifically is having that mandate to ensure that athletes take the correct medication so that they don't say later on that they were taking this medication for a particular knee and then it came out something like it's a banned substance?
Thank you for that question, Tony. So before I answer, there is something that we have in anti-doping called strict liability. Yes. Strict liability states that it is your duty as an athlete to make sure that you know what goes into your body, because then once we test you and you test positive for any prohibited substance, then we give you a chance to explain yourself, to tell us how did this substance enter into your body. So I actually pity our athletes because they have a lot of work to do in terms of monitoring what goes into their body, in terms of monitoring the medication that is used to treat them when they maybe face a certain ailment.
Yes.
So when an athlete refuses to provide their sample for testing, this is something that we charge called refusal. It is an anti-doping rule violation. And it is basically the same as testing positive for a certain substance. So we work with the education team to make sure that we provide this education to the athletes, so that we try to make them aware of certain decisions that they make during their career, now in terms of that athlete who failed to provide their sample, so that when they are making these decisions, it is an informed decision. Because we would not want a situation where an athlete legitimately went for treatment and was given a prohibited substance, but then they are actually quite scared to present themselves to ADAC. You can test positive, Tony, but at the end of the day, we will give you that opportunity to explain yourself. And if your treatment was legitimate, we will give you a chance to apply for what is called a therapeutic use exemption. This is now an exemption where we have a team of doctors who will look at that treatment that you were given. And if it was, if you were prescribed that prohibited substance for actual therapeutic use, if it was legitimate, then we will actually consider that in the decision, and you might not end up being charged for that specific violation. Yes.
Oh, good. And just to bring also in Bildad, there was, of course, you can just weigh into it. There was a time where a German investigative team in Kenya unleashed some very damning report about the extent of doping in the country. I think it was
in 2011, actually.
Yes, correct. At that particular time, and painted Kenya in a very bad light. And maybe I understand maybe there was some ill motive. I think Kenya was preparing for some major things, so they were actually painting us in a very bad picture. That's what, of course, us will say as being patriots to the country. Way into that, and how as EDAC you sieve these kind of teams that come into the country and then do this kind of work that you are the one who's supposed to do, basically. Yeah, because I'm sure they actually bypassed you. If this, I don't know if they bypassed you or they went through you to really come up with these very dangerous reports. And also tell us about the athletes who take weed or kandukulu, or they stone, and then those who take miraa. Those part of those bad substances.
Yes. The 2011 German television network expose had its own advantages and disadvantages. Of course, as a patriot, there's this element where you find that foreigners always want to, it's always better when you remove competition.
Yes.
So if you can't beat them, try your level best and discredit them. So that is exactly what happened in 2011. I think it was the build-up to the 2012, was it London Olympics?
Should be London Olympics.
London Olympics, yeah. So basically, the investigators, they came to the country, and at that time, ADAC had not even been established. So they came to the country and did that investigative expose. So the advantage to it was that it actually it drew the attention of the government into the doping menace. Because before then, anti-doping activities were being conducted by the National Olympic Committee in Kenya. It was just a small department that was dealing. So it was, and it was being assisted by the regional anti-doping organization at Zone 6. So basically what happened is that when the expose was done, a task force was set up. That what led to establishment of ADAC in 2016 to undertake this. Now, I think it is always good when such journalists carry out such, investigative pieces. It also enlightens us, and we also able to pick on areas where maybe we are not doing our best. So the establishment of ADAC now took over the anti-doping activities from the National Olympic Committee, and now ADAC was now given that full mandate to do the testing, the anti-doping education, and all that. So I think, in a nutshell, the expose helped the country, because before then, we always thought that this anti-doping is not for Kenya. But the bad thing with the expose is that basically, it also, other countries also looked at Kenya in terms of, you guys have been winning all along, so maybe it is all about this doping that we've been engaging in. One of the activities that are taking place right now in the world, you'll also notice that there's a clamor to have Kenya sanctioned or declared non-compliant by WADA, so that we don't participate in this international sporting events. And about, I think, a month ago, there's someone who is now collecting signatures because we're having a case in the, a rising number of doping cases in the country. So that will always propel us, and we are happy with such because it pushes us. Yes. We work very closely, as you've rightly put it, we work very closely with international organizations in conducting, carrying out the anti-doping activities in the country. This include, of course, Athletics Integrity Unit. Athletes in the country are divided into two, international level and national level. So ADAC deals mostly with the national level athletes, and the AIU takes up the international level. Yeah.
Well done on that. And of course, because I know you've mentioned most athletes in Kenya feel like this particular testing and all that is only done for athletics, like watu wa kukimbia peke yake. There's not so much noise about, for example, rugby, tennis, of course, Kaitani will weigh into it, or swimming, or all those things. And of course, these drugs can be used for any particular sports, because at the end of the day, just to enhance your strength for that particular sport. Kaitani, where are we in terms of sensitizing the awareness of really showing that EDAC indeed is doing its job, and also that you've made inroads to the level whereby you feel comfortable that you've made progress? Because from where I sit, and from the numbers that are just popping up every now and then there is a problem, a serious problem, yes. A ticking time bomb.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah. So first, to answer your question on focus on athletics, in anti-doping we have what we call a registered testing pool. Yes. This is a specific group of athletes who are selected, either based on intelligence received, either based on their performance, and there is actually comprehensive testing that is done on this group of athletes. In the ADAC registered testing pool, we don't only have athletes from athletics. It is from even all the other sports. Athletics might be a bit more in the pool, but that is for obvious reasons. Yes. But we cover all the other sports. Yes. And in terms of sensitization, we have come to a point where we find it hard to work alone as ADAC. So we work with the National Sports Federation. Yes. And as part of our collaboration together is that we do education for its members, so that we now have a wider reach in terms of the people that we educate. I know you can agree that ADAC might not have the necessary access to some of these athletes without the direct involvement of the federation. True. So that is one of the ways that we use our collaboration with the federation in terms of even spreading the awareness. And I agree, it is we are actually at a very sensitive spot in terms of the doping situation in Kenya. But Tony, you can agree that Rome was not built in a day. We are actually quite, we are working, that's how I can put it, to an extent where even in this region, in the African region, ADAC is recognized as one of the best anti-doping organizations in terms of implementing the World Anti-Doping Code. Yes.
Well done on that. Bildad, rehabilitation. I'm looking at now, of course, EDAC is after, basically it's not after anyone, but it's just basically ensuring everybody is fair play for all athletes. However, after we've sanctioned, for example, Rita Jepto, Rispa Jepto or Jemima Sugong, once we've put them on the spot, we have judged them. What next? You see, what next exactly? What happened after that? Because to the point where by now, athletes need to look at EDAC as an enabling body than to look at EDAC as a police service.
Yeah, very true, Tony. Actually, the anti-doping program, the way it is structured, is that the work of the National Anti-Doping Organization is to conduct anti-doping education, to collect samples for purposes of testing, and when the results come back, if it is a positive, to undertake results management, which is basically prosecuting those cases. We also have a department on investigations and intelligence gathering to beef up now, also to inform the testing regimen that we have. Yes. Now, once we have collected samples from an athlete, and I think it is important for Kenyans to know that we don't only collect samples from athletes only, we also collect from their agents, their coaches. They can also be guilty of anti-doping rule violations. Correct. So, and according to the law, we are also mandated to collect samples from other persons. That means even you, Tony, we can collect a sample from you. Yeah. So basically, but because it is expensive, we concentrate on the athletes, and of course, we also monitor the coaches and the agents. When an athlete has faced an anti-doping rule violation case, it is one of the most devastating cases. As my colleague has put it, we apply the principle of strict liability. So the moment an athlete has tested positive, it is one of the easiest cases to prosecute, because it is now the athlete to prove that they are not guilty. And now it works the other way around. So I don't have much work to do in regard to those cases. Now, when an athlete is faced with an anti-doping rule violation case, as I said, very devastating, very few defenses to it. You will find that the defenses that are available for the athlete, because in all cases, there are certain prescribed defenses that one can be able to present before court. But in anti-doping cases, it is almost impossible to get yourself off the hook when you've tested positive. Very few athletes, actually less than 1%, normally get themselves off the hook. So having gone through that, and the athlete is slapped with a 4-year period of ineligibility, 2 years, 6 years, AIU can give even 12 years. And the code, what we apply, that is the World Anti-Doping Code, which we have domesticated into the ADAC anti-doping rules, provide for a return to training formula. But unfortunately, you find that most of the athletes who we have tested and they have turned positive and prosecuted them, you find that their life never goes back the same. It doesn't. They are shunned by the community. And sorry to say this, they're also shunned even by the National Federation. Nobody wants anything to do with them. People are pointing fingers at them in the villages and all over. So most of these athletes end up in engaging in other vices like alcoholism, depression. And it is extremely unfortunate that is where things normally end up. As ADAC, unfortunately, our hands are tied. I wish we could have a department where we can be able to meet the athletes who have been sanctioned. But the anti-doping code provides an opportunity to these athletes, although very few of them would even want to take it. It provides for an opportunity for them to participate in anti-doping education sessions, to come and stand before the athlete and tell them, see, I use this drug either knowingly or unknowingly, or I used it because I wanted to gain a certain advantage. See what I'm going through right now, Then other athletes can be able to learn from you. So that's the only way they're allowed to do it. But unfortunately, as ADAC, we can't do anything about the rehabilitation. But the National Federation should be able and ought to do that. And I call upon them to never shun these athletes. Can I give you an example of Ferdinando Manyala? Yes. Having served a period of ineligibility, he came back, and what did he make of himself? A big star. National Federation should wake up.
True. Yeah, federations have a serious hand. Yeah, and of course they have the resources and they have the money really to enjoy this work.
Precisely.
I have 3 minutes, gentlemen, before I know we can speak about EDAC, so many things. I had prepared so many notes, many notes. I've just done a quarter of it. Yeah. But just as we wind up, Kaitanyi, maybe what you're planning, your plans. Which quarter in? We're getting into the second quarter, sort of. What are your short-term plans and maybe long-term plans for this particular year that you're seeking, of course, to achieve?
Okay. Thank you, Tony.
Just one or two major.
Okay. So one of our major plans as an agency is to strengthen the collaborations that we have, both local and international, with the local and international stakeholders. We want to get to a point where ADAC is working from a multi-agency perspective. The same way we were able to conduct the raid in E10. Yeah. We want to make sure that at this point in time we have all the players including the National Federation, all the way to even law enforcement agencies and immigration and all that, so that when we are doing this kind of work, we take responsibility as a nation. So that is one of the major short-term plans that we have. As for the long term, I would say we would want a situation where Kenya is respected. When we win a race, when we win a match, yes, Kenya is respected, and we don't have a situation where journalists are coming up to the athlete or athletes and asking them, what do you think about doping? Are you doping? Yeah. That is a face that we want to make sure that we clean from the Kenyan sport industry.
Thank you very much, Dennis Kaitanyi, the Senior Compliance Officer at the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya. 1 minute, Builder, do you have anything that we are locking out that you want to say in 1 minute?
Yes, actually we are going to start to amend the Act, the Anti-Doping Act of 2016. Yes. We're going to amend it. We are going to start the process as of 1st of July this year. Okay. The reason why we are amending it, and part of what we are going to amend, are the penalties under Section 42. Oh. We feel that they are quite lenient. Because you look at the case of the gentleman arrested recently, we are talking about a fine of 100,000 Kenya shillings. I mean, so it's something that we want to enhance, and we feel that we will be calling upon our stakeholders, including the media, to come and sit with us, and as we go through the Act together, and we can also get contributions from the stakeholders and see what we can do.
Certainly. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bildad Rogoncho, the Head of Legal Services at the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, that is EDAC, and of course Dennis Kaitanyi, the Senior Compliance Officer at the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya. This conversation, of course, will continue definitely on our social media platforms. We continue engaging with EDAC and, of course, highlight the work, the challenges, and the success stories, of course, they have in our country. So you're doing a wonderful job, and we are happy, of course, always to come and host you here. And, of course, feel free. You're most welcome. Remember, of course, here is the home of Radio 47 as well. The second best radio station in the country, and this of course is the third best TV station in the country. So karibuni sana, tunashukuru sana for your time. Asante sana. So much. Send our regards to your chairman, to the CEO. We appreciate your time as well.
Thank you.
Asante sana. So this of course is TV 47. This is Sports Extravaganza. My name is Tony Kwalanda. Just to take a breather, I will want to show you and take you, I don't know, Bildad and Kaitanyi didn't say which team they support, but at least I know Bildad supports Arsenal, and that's why he was making a lot of noise before the show, because there is no jersey of Arsenal, because the Arsenal jersey has gone back to where it belongs, where they want to win trophies. Watu wa Netflix wakae huko. Kaitanyi tu ndo hajasema, but he looks like he's a he looks like he's an Arsenal fan, but chini ya maji. So let's go and take you to I know maybe Kaitanyi ni mtu wa Man U. So now that Kaitanyi is mtu wa Man U, we shall show him how the fans in the Europa League were celebrating the win after they beat Athletic Bilbao and qualified, of course, for the final of the Europa League. And that's only the shortcut towards the USCL. Man U, hiyo ndio kitu mnaweza fishinda ndio Champions League.